Hello everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of Bad Roommates. First up, we have roommates get defensive when we ask them to clean the cat litter. That is a common theme with roommates, isn't it? By Actia Luna 253. I, female and 19, live with my best friend Jay, female and 19, with my roommate Agatha, female and 19, and her boyfriend Emmett, male 20, in a small 3-bedroom, 2-bath home. They share a room that opens out to the dining room, kitchen, and living room area, while Jay and I have rooms across from each other on the other side of the house. Agatha was my roommate last year when I lived in the dorms, and our biggest problem was that she would hardly ever clean the cat litter. I said yes to a cat, thinking it would help her depression, and mine, but it soon became clear that she would only do the bare minimum to take care of him. I know nothing about cats and have no experience taking care of them, so I just assumed she knew what she was doing, since she would always talk about how much she loved them. The smell would get bad, and eventually I would have to ask her to clean it, but she would usually say, "She just did it the other day." Again, I know nothing, and thought to clean it meant changing the whole litter box. But I now realize the real problem was that she just wasn't scooping the poop. She would maybe do it once a week. Our room would always smell of cat litter to a ridiculous point, and I was so embarrassed when people came over. I think she was nose-blind because she would spend all day in the room and just got used to the smell. Now flash forward to this year. Her boyfriend Emmett's parents bought them a place to live in, and me and Jay rent rooms from them. Oh, that's a bad idea. Emmett had a cat already, so she came to live with us too. Luckily, they keep the litter in their bathroom, but it still stinks so bad. Every time you enter the house you can smell it, and it's especially bad because it's right next to the kitchen and where we eat. Whenever they leave their door open, it permeates throughout the house. I've started eating in my room when it's particularly bad because I can't handle it. Agatha is kind of messy, but nothing too bad besides the litter. But Emmett is a whole other level of messy, and we have had to do a lot of hand-holding to get chores done. You shouldn't have to do that with adults, even barely adults. Agatha has said Emmett gets mad at her for nagging him about basic tasks like not leaving food and trash out. They're gonna break up. By the way, Jay, Agatha, and I all work and go to school while Emmett is unemployed doing online classes. I made a chore chart for everyone since I was becoming the Cinderella roommate and it was driving me nuts. I tried adding cat litter to the chore chart as something just for Emmett and Agatha so they could keep track of it better, but they got really weird about it and said that didn't need to be done. I can see those cats getting rehomed very soon in the future. This is something I've noticed. Every time I bring up the smell or ask if they can take care of it, they get sort of defensive. We recently had a party, and Jay asked Agatha to clean it before so it wouldn't stink, and she seemed really offended. I know the litter is really bad because I once had to use the bathroom really bad while Jay was showering, and I asked to quickly use theirs, and the litter was scattered across the floor and poop piling up. Eventually they cleaned it using my vacuum, which now stinks of litter. But I'm so scared for the cats, if that is normal for them. I'm not good with conflict, that's why things have gotten so bad. I try to stand up for myself and have tried to set many boundaries surrounding cleanliness, but they seem to push them because they know I am busy and not brave enough to constantly call them out. Well, they're going to keep pushing you and one day you'll snap, and it's not going to be good. They'll then blame you, they'll think you're the bad guy. This was something Agatha would push last year, and now it's even more complicated because the litter isn't in a common space. I just really don't know what to do besides constantly nag them about it. From what I've seen online, ideally they should scoop the poop every 1 to 2 days and change the litter every week. But I don't know how to get them to do that when it seems like they only scoop the poop once a week. Also, rent is really good, and even though they drive us nuts, Jay and I can't really afford to live anywhere else, so any advice would be greatly appreciated. Well, as you're stuck there, your only option is to start cleaning it yourself, because they're obviously not going to do it. You can nag them as much as you like, but I think they've proven by now it's not going to happen. So unless you're willing to, and I know you're not, willing to report them for animal cruelty, because that is what they're doing, leaving your animals living in unclean, unhealthy conditions is animal cruelty, nothing's going to change. And as you say, you can't really go anywhere else right now. I know that's bad advice to give, but short of something more extreme like rehoming the cats so that they're better taken care of, there's not really much you can do. Okay, story number 2. Am I the asshole? Yes, sorry, I was looking at a mirror. For selling houseguest things. So, I've been renting a 3-bed townhome for years with a super chill landlord in a nice neighborhood for some time. My longtime roommate broke her lease suddenly in March, leaving me scrambling to clean, furnish, remove left-behind things from the entire house, all while finding and vetting someone who wouldn't spring this crap on me again. Oh, the irony. In light of this news, my sister referred me to this woman that has been staying with her, Amy, who just needed a place for a month. This news was almost perfect for me. Renting the smaller, furnished room during this time would make me break even financially for the month of March, and cut my losses by half the following. Sounded perfect. Short stay, perfect timing, no stress. Famous last words. My first mistake was not requiring a deposit. I didn't think she could do damage in a month, and if she did, we would just deal with it as a case-to-case basis. At the start, things were good. We seemed to get along and communicate well. The repairs to the basement were going to take about 3 months, which really slowed my plans of renting that room. But hey, beats shelling out several $1,000s or stuck with a crazy person in that time. So, when Amy expressed interest in staying longer and I thought nothing of it, more luck my way. Woo-hoo. The repairs started to wrap up in late May, and I was starting to get antsy about finding a basement tenant, but also had an extended trip planned in mid-June, so this time I asked if we could extend Amy's month-to-month to end after I got back, on the condition she would show the place while I was gone and dox it while I was away. I would be lying if I didn't say the decision felt right at the time. It had been 3 months where I thought I knew this person. About halfway through this trip, I received multiple messages from my neighbors about noise complaints, which gave me immediate pause. Because even though we shared a wall, I have never had that problem in my time there. I relayed the info to Amy and got some rather snarky replies. I turned it off 10 minutes ago. But also several hours late. Also, I didn't receive any updates about my dog or showings until I was an hour from home. Pieces of the puzzle felt missing. Well, upon arriving home, some more things became clear. Every window and door was open, with Amy's music on each floor blasting next to it, and I wasn't sure which was escaping the house faster, the music or the forced air from the conditioner. My plants looked like they were barely hanging on, and my dog was hiding under a coffee table, just to get out of the windows that faced southwest. She had also been very busy and made some improvements, including rearranging the entire house, furniture and storage spaces, where I couldn't find anything, ripped off the blinds on 2 windows and relocated the curtains and rod assembly in her room. Oh, this bitch is crazy. And the neighbors have stopped our morning chats at the mailbox, and it's pretty awkward. I do not know how she managed to do all this in 2 weeks. It seems like she was waiting. Sidebar, those curtains she relocated was some of the shoddiest work I have ever seen. Of the 3 assemblies in the room, and none of them were level, nor did they line up with each other. The space from the bottom of these floor-length curtains ranged from 1 inch to 3 feet. There were about 20 holes from presumably failed attempts, as if she redid her efforts no less than 4 times. At this point, I am convinced she is visually impaired, certainly impaired in some way, and I am genuinely impressed she could operate a drill. Apparently she couldn't. Having just come back from a vacation, I decided I would let it go, but told her this wasn't a good fit and she needed to be out ASAP. She paid me all that she had, $400, which got her mid-July. Days before the special event, the excuses she couldn't leave started to pile up. Sounds like a her problem. Now, the excuses in question deserve trigger warnings. She was scared of her boyfriend back home, allegedly, and while I am certainly empathetic, this went on with a new story every 2 weeks past her sell-by date. I was running a halfway house and didn't even know it. I finally saw an opening when one of her excuses became, "Not all my stuff can fit in my car. Make 2 trips." This will come up in a minute. Light bulb. Well, she spent all summer saying how she wants to move to this area and get away from her toxic living situation. Why take some of these things home just to bring it back anyway? I offered to store it till October for free. At that time, she maintained that she would be back here by then. Desperation got the better of me, but heck, it worked, and Amy was out the next day, and I could finally drop this drama that had absorbed my life and find a real human worth living with. You hope? After undoing her redecorating, it was pretty clear there were things that were taken without permission. I think we call that theft. She had helped herself to everything in the closets, pantries, shed, and storage spaces, including extension cords, vitamins, several bottles of such odd random things, hydrogen peroxide, dog treats, dog food, various full bottles of hygiene products, air fresheners, and the kicker, a large bottle of my medication. Like, ma'am, are you starting a black market CVS? It's not like there were those kinds of drugs. No wonder her personal items had doubled in size in the back of her SUV in just under 4 months. Then I see the utility bill. Her bad habit of keeping windows open during 100-degree days had made the utility bill $400 more than previous years. Clearly this was not a one-off thing she did. I sat down and came up with about $550 for back rent and half the utilities, $200 worth of things missing, and about $300 in material costs for the repairs if I got really creative, and began to prepare my strategy for how to go about this. October 1st hits, and I haven't heard from her at all since she left. I test the waters with a text, asking her if she has seen my bottle of prescription meds, and waited for her opportunity to maybe come clean. I really hoped she would. I regret to say she did not seize this opportunity, as she tried to claim that physically swallowing about 50 pills individually over several occasions was unintentional. Now, that is some poor word choice. I followed up with a formal text saying she is not welcome back here, and she has to get her stuff out of here by the end of November, 30 days after our original agreement as directed by my legal counsel. Scary. However, if she returns the list of things that I have found missing or the cost to replace it, I would be willing to extend that date and continually work with her on a month-by-month basis to get her stuff back. Now, I won't even tell you how little of her responses I read, so your guess is as good as mine as to how she took that. I told her if she prefers, she can pay me for the back rent, utilities, and storage fee, but that would be about twice as much, and sent her that invoice. She eventually agreed to the first one. I had been sending her bi-weekly reminders, but wouldn't you know it, I don't get any more replies. So, Internet, what do you think? Am I an asshole? No. When she doesn't get my stuff back in time, should I sell it? Some of it is pretty cool, not gonna lie. Any takers? I always wanted to learn how to play the bass. Right, you can't really just sell her stuff. Actually, right. I think we'd have to do is go to small claims court. I don't think you can just sell her stuff unless it's been sitting there for an extended period of time. There will be an actual set amount of time depending on where you live. Check what it is. If it extends that period of time, then you might be able to sell it in order to recoup your losses. But I'd look into what the law says first. You want to keep yourself right, no matter how satisfying it might be to stick it to her. Alrighty, story number 3. My roommate won't stop buying animals even though I've told her I'm uncomfortable with it. I, 19 and female, moved in with my roommate Anna, 20 female, about 6 months ago. The apartment was affordable, close to school, and she seemed really sweet, pretty much ideal. She already had 2 cats and a dog, which was fine by me, since I love animals. I even offered to walk her dog daily to help her out. Before moving in, I told her I had a pet tarantula, and she was okay with it. Then, right before moving, I ended up with a turtle, which is kept in my room. I double-checked with her multiple times, and she said it was fine. We had a total of 5 pets, 3 hers and 2 mine. I thought, hey, that's manageable, no sweat. The apartment certainly wasn't the perfect size to house 5 animals. Well, the turtle doesn't take up much space, he's just a little guy. Especially not 2 dogs and a cat, but they all seem happy and healthy, so I didn't think much of it. About a month after I moved in, she randomly decided she needed a dwarf hamster. I had to talk her out of buying one unprepared, but we agreed she could get one later once she had all the supplies. Eventually, she did, and it was fine. I even went with her to pick it up. A couple of months later, the hamster died. Oh, buddy. Almost immediately, she started talking about getting guinea pigs to fill the void. I told her no. After the first hamster, we had agreed that if we were going to get any more animals, we would wait until I started school in September. She is a high school dropout and doesn't have class. And we would have a long, in-depth conversation about whether we could both handle it. I really wanted a snake, and we agreed that I would get that first before we even talked about getting guinea pigs. I said that if she really wanted another small pet, she could replace the hamster since we already had the setup. 2 weeks later, she comes home from therapy with another hamster, no warning, nothing. Then she leaves for the weekend and expects me to take care of it. Whatever, nothing I hadn't already been doing. A month later, she texts me that she went to the pet store again after therapy and fell in love. That therapist is doing a bad job with a guinea pig and couldn't just leave it there. She bought it, no cage, no supplies. It lived in a cat carrier for the first few days. When I confronted her, she called me childish and petty. Look who's talking. 2 weeks later, she got a second guinea pig. Again, no discussion. At that point, she had 6 animals. I figured that had to be the limit, but 4 days ago she texted me that she was getting a rabbit. She said that she looks at Kijiji. It's just so many similar-looking letters altogether. Every day that she thinks that this rabbit is being abused. Did the rabbit tell her that? I told her to give it to our local rescue agency, and she said that she didn't want to, as it would be cared for better with her. Not true. We don't have any space for a rabbit. I mean, I hear rabbit stew is delicious, but don't listen to me. She says she's going to rehabilitate this abused animal and then sell it on Kijiji instead of giving it to an adoption society. Oh, Kijiji's a website. It's not the name of the bunny. I was confused. She's also confident that she can get this done before Christmas. That's the 5th animal she's impulsively bought in 6 months. She's only asked my permission for 1 of them. It's not just the number. I mean, disrespect as well. You share that space. The animals aren't being properly cared for. Her dog barely gets walked anymore, especially since I stopped doing it. Isn't potty trained and uses pee pads in the living room, which makes the apartment smell awful. The rabbit is in a tiny cage. The guinea pigs are constantly stressed out due to the dog's barking, and she refuses to rehome anything because she thinks she's saving them from potential bad owners that she's made up. I felt completely disrespected and uncomfortable. I can't afford to move out, and if I report her to animal welfare, she'll probably make my life hell. I'm so frustrated living with someone who ignores boundaries and keeps piling animals into a small apartment she barely takes care of. She says I'm being dramatic and controlling, and that since the new pets are in her room and were bought with her money, it's none of my business. I feel like my trust has been violated, and the whole thing feels gross and chaotic. Any advice would be greatly appreciated, as I'm genuinely unsure of what to do. Am I overreacting? Oh, hell no. They are in her room, so it technically doesn't affect me, but they aren't being taken care of properly, and she doesn't have a job, so I'm unsure how she will pay for all of them. Am I being controlling or an asshole over this? It has genuinely made me rethink our friendship. Yeah, your friendship was over a long time ago. I'm sorry to be so cold about that, but it really was, when she refused to listen to just very simple requests. Basic roommate things, like, we can't get any more pets. So, if you think I'm being reasonable, please give me advice on how to tell a narcissist that she's being crazy, unsafe, and selfish. Well, it's so hard not to diagnose people like this, isn't it? I know it's tempting to call her a narcissist. I'd call her an arcissist. A massive arcissist. I mean, pets escape, they get out, they go to shelters to get rehoused. There is such a thing as a hamster shelter, I don't know if you have one where you are, but they do exist. And, if she's not taking care of them, they could run away mysteriously while she's out one day. Just saying. I'm not saying anything's got to happen. I'm just saying. But, you see, she's in therapy. And I wasn't really joking when I made that joke about how her therapist was doing a bad job, because continually collecting animals is something, it is an illness. It's, I think someone on Reddit actually mentioned, they called it hoarding. Someone on Reddit called it hoarding. And that's accurate. They're hoarding animals. It's not good for the animals, it's not good for the living environment. It doesn't matter if they're in her room, and it's only a matter of time before she doesn't have the money to care for them, and she expects you to pay for it. I think you're going to have to just lay down the law to her. She's not going to take it well. You won't be friends afterward, but you have to tell her straight. These animals have to go. They have to get rehomed. She can keep the ones she originally came with, the dog, the cat, and that's it. The rest of them have to be properly taken care of because she's not capable of doing it. She'll throw a bitch fit. That's what bitches do. Just accept the friendship is over. Because a real friend would have listened to you before now and take steps, if these animals are not being treated well, to report her to the relevant authorities. It's going to make your living situation uncomfortable, but it's either that or let the little beastie suffer. Story number 4. Help! My roommate who makes us feel unsafe and we can't kick her out or do anything legally, and our lease is for a year. By Glittering Rip 5616. Context. I, along with 3 other girls, share an apartment for college. We need 2 guarantors to qualify for the apartment. Our 4th roommate is autistic. She doesn't understand social cues. I expect she probably understands more than she lets on, but that's just my experience. Best not to treat her. No, that's fine. She is not good with chores, which makes us upset, even though she has proven she's capable. She has a history of wanting to hurt people in high school and has mental health issues like depression. Why are you living with her? Which sometimes she is offered medication from. Lovely. She also has a victim mentality, and when confronted with problems is not good with communication. And she's had a history of old friend groups exiling her. And we are constantly reassuring her that we are not going to kick her out because she didn't do one chore. No, but I expect she'll keep going the way she is and you will kick her out eventually, because she always thinks she is the problem and is going to get evicted. No. She's trying to make you feel sorry for her. That's what she's doing there. She's taking the extreme tack of blaming herself. She also does not do a lot of chores at home, so it's her first time learning how to be responsible in a shared space. Not your job to teach her. I also share a room with her. Story. For the past few weeks, she hasn't been good about doing her chores. She either does them last minute or not at all. I asked her to close the cabinet door after using it. She says, "I was gonna get to it." I tell her it is not something to be done 10 minutes later. It's a thing to just always do. Unless you live alone like me, in which case, do it before you go to bed. So, tension has been building between me and her, and I have just been upset, along with 2 other girls. She hasn't been the best with being flexible or learning how to do chores, so I talked to her one night about how upset I've been with her. She slams her fist onto the table, is about to cry. Her eyes are red, she's yelling at me, and I'm freaking out. Yeah, she's manipulating you. I ask her, "Are you getting thoughts about wanting to hurt people again?" I don't remember what she says, but it was low-key traumatic. I'm sitting in my bed across from her, and she looks like she's gonna jump up and strangle me because her fists are clenched and she's angry. I'm so scared. My other two roommates are listening, by the way, because now she's really loud and angry at herself and me too. I tell her I think we should go on a walk. Your emotions seem really high right now. She says okay, and seems to come back to herself for a second. I go put on a jacket from my closet in the room, and she walks out. I get out of the room to see that she's on the balcony, but out of sight because the blinds were blocking it, so I can't see her, but I can hear her. She starts screaming and maniacally laughing like crazy. Oh, I don't think that's just autism. No, that's something else. And I run to my other two roommates like, what the fuck do we do? I'm shaking because she sounds so scary. The other two girls say let's all go on a walk together with all four of us with her. So, we get out the door, but she's still on the balcony and had quieted down now. They wait outside the door and I walk to the living room where one of the walls connects to the balcony. I am now standing like 6 feet away from the entrance of the balcony. I still can't see her, but I can hear her mumbling to herself and I ask, "Hey, can we go on a walk? You ready?" But all I hear is her mumbling to herself. Again, I forgot what she was saying, but she was just crying and saying words. One thing I do remember, after I was saying multiple times, like, "Are you ready to go on a walk outside?" was her saying, "I'm gonna kill you. You have the patience of a saint if you're putting up with this." Said in a tone that can be aimed at me or herself or her other roommates. So of course I freak out, like, what the fuck did she just say? I run out of the door where the other two girls are waiting and I lock it, explaining what I just heard, and we run away from the apartment. Us three are now taking our locations off and calling her mom, which I was about to suggest. If she's got a good relationship with her mom, with her parents, let them know that things are getting bad. It sounds like she's off her medication. She's definitely not listening to reason. So calling her mom was a good choice. It's the nuclear option, calling someone's mom, but it was a good choice. We realized later that we should have called 911. That can be a little dicey in America, because sometimes the cops just show up and kill people who are mentally ill. But we were young and none of us were in an emotionally stable state to make the right decisions. Well, like I say, you're very young yourself, so calling what you assume to be a responsible adult did seem like a reasonable choice. I mean, you're technically adults, but, very young. This is so scary and so serious. Now we're just walking around the apartment. I'm starting to get a panic attack because I don't know what's happening in the apartment. She's alone and is having an episode. Well, the thing is, you need to know when somebody you care for is having an episode like that. You need to know the techniques that help calm them down, and you don't know that. There's no reason you would know that because you weren't made aware of how bad things could get. I don't think you or your roommates need to feel bad about this. That onus, that responsibility was on your roommate to make sure you all understood what her situation was like. Anything could happen. We don't know what she's doing, if she followed us or if she's hurting herself. The mom calls us back and tells us that she's calmed her down and is on her way. About 50 minutes later, after walking around our parking lot in the dark, the mom comes, she talks to us, and she didn't even seem concerned that her daughter threatened to kill someone. That's because it's old news to her. Explaining her mental health and why she acts the way she acts. Us three are not fazed and are still mad and upset at what happened. Yes, the mom is defending her kid and still wants us to live together, but it doesn't change anything. She leaves with her daughter and the three of us get back to the apartment safely and she's gone. No text from the fourth roommate saying sorry, and we all go to bed that night. Now what? What are we supposed to do now? Our rent is due tomorrow and she's coming back Sunday night, and all four of us plus the mom and our parents on the phone are gonna have a talk in the apartment. None of us want her back, and none of us feel safe being around her, especially seeing, I mean, she needs more care than she's obviously getting in the current situation. So it's probably for the best that she doesn't come back. She maybe stays with her parents for a while she gets to where she needs to be. Doesn't mean she can't be out living with roommates at another time, but I don't think the time for that is right now. I share a room with her. Yes, she has had thoughts about harming people in her past. She goes to therapy, and that was a long time ago. The mom reassured us that she would never hurt us, but who knows? Yeah, I'm sure Mommy believes that. What happened in high school is different from this situation now, and was a long time ago. Maybe this is one of those things to spark those thoughts for real. The tension and build-up could push her over the edge. We don't know. Her mom wasn't there when it happened. She could have been threatening me for real. We have never seen this before from her. We don't know what she's capable of. None of us know. No one will. But all of us agree that if someone is going to act out in that way, in response to sharing an apartment along with conversations like doing chores, they do not deserve or are ready to live with said people. There we go. I'm not just saying that because you agree with me, but that's a very mature response. Our lease is for a year, and it's only been 3 months so far. I think these are special circumstances. I'll look into the details of the lease. Her mom is also one of the guarantors needed to qualify the apartment, so legally we can't do much. Breaking the lease sounds too complicated, but also none of us want her to be back for our safety. We literally don't know what to do. We're going to talk to the property manager soon about what to do, and I'm hoping the internet can save me and my roommates. Well, I believe you said you were all going to have a conversation with your parents. They've got a little more experience in the world and dealing with things like this and housing situations. They might be able to offer some advice. Talking with the property manager is also a good move. Explain your concerns, explain the very unique situation. They might, if they're a sensible and good person, be able to offer you some good advice there. But this situation isn't good for any of you, including your roommate who's having the troubles right now. Her going back there and then flying off the handle just because you ask her to do basic roommate things, that can happen. It's not acceptable, it's not appropriate. And I think she definitely needs, I'm not a doctor, of course, I'm a doctor of no kind. She needs more care than she can get in that situation. Alright, story number 5, fifth and final story. My friend is my roommate and my landlord by 21X 2001. So I, female 24, and one of my best friends, female 23. Let's call her Nadja. It says N. I like to give people names. You know I do. Live in a house together. That's Nadja with a J, by the way. It is her late grandmother's house that we are living in, and it was her family's summer vacation spot for a very long time. Needless to say, the house has a lot of sentimental value for the family. It used to be me, Nadja, and our other friend, Elle, living in the house together. Elle moved out a year ago to live with her boyfriend because Nadja and her family made it a rule that significant others could not stay at the house for more than 4 nights in a row, and Elle had her partner over more than that. Couldn't get enough, eh, girl? When Elle left, I took her room. There were several large chips in the paint from where she had used command strips. In my old room, Nadja has scolded me for using so many thumbtacks, and to her credit, I had used way more than necessary in that room. I patched them up before taking Elle's room, which still had many holes, and I made a point to use mounting putty instead of thumbtacks for most of my posters in Elle's room. I still used a few thumbtacks here and there, about 5 of them, to hang up some heavier items. And Nadja freaked out about this because of a special paint wash that was used in that room a few months ago. It didn't turn into a bigger argument. If Nadja would like to bend over, I could help remove the stick from her asshole. This time, though, I was using an actual picture hanging nail that needed to be hammered into the wall to hang a very special framed gift I had received. It is a tiny nail, not much bigger than a thumbtack. You know how she feels about thumbtacks. Nadja came into my room, having a total meltdown, and was screaming at me for already having destroyed the room. I told her that all the holes I'd made were very tiny, and that the walls were already damaged from Elle's stay in the room, and that I would patch them up whenever I moved out. She didn't care and said I shouldn't damage it more. I told her that this was unreasonable to ask me as a landlord, because it's truly such little damage that can be easily fixed, and she went on again about the special paint wash, which I found on Amazon in about 30 seconds, mind you. Not that special. At this point I felt myself snap, and I told her to get out of my room. I told her I was mad and that I didn't want to talk right now. I had to repeat this about 4 times before she actually left my room. She wouldn't leave until I promised not to nail the picture up. Guess you gotta use staples then. I have a staple gun you can borrow. Aside from the damage being negligible, this apartment infuriated me because I take really good care of the house. I am constantly picking up after Nadja. I spent months begging her for basic roommate etiquette, i.e. doing the dishes, cleaning up your cat's puke, not stealing my stuff, putting my stuff back if you steal it. On top of all of this, she forced me to live with her boyfriend, even though she made the rule that partners couldn't stay over 4 nights in a row. Rules for thee, not for me. The rule that read to Elle leaving. She literally gave her boyfriend a key to the house and let him stay over 6 or 7 nights a week, just 2 days after they met. Desperate. We were fighting constantly during this period of time because of the hypocrisy, but she said that the rules don't apply to her because it's her house. She's wrong, but okay. This situation was honestly so bad that I had to decide between upholding my own boundaries and ending the friendship, or choosing to preserve our very tight-knit friend group. Ultimately, I decided that I loved my friends more than I was angry at her. I know the boyfriend stuff isn't entirely relevant, but it definitely contributed to my anger that day. I was so annoyed that someone who has broken some of the worst house rules a roommate can break was lecturing me over half an inch worth of damage. That's right, I measured every single thumbtack hole and nail hole. It adds up to less than 1/2 a square inch. Mind you, the plumbing leaks in this house, the bathroom sink bowl is cracked, and we have a rat problem. That's a terrible way to talk about your roommate. And 1/2 an inch is what she was focused on. All that said, I broke the silence first. I told her I found plaster and matching paint wash so I could repair the 1/2 inch of damage whenever I moved out. I know my temper often gets the best of me, and that can make it hard for people to approach me. Well, they shouldn't piss you off then. Nadja is still ignoring me, and it's been 3 days. Genuinely, can someone tell me where else my faults are? I feel like my anger was completely justified, especially since I tried to shut it down, and she was the one who wouldn't stop and respect that. I'm not thinking clearly right now from all my anger, though I would really appreciate others' perspective. Thank you for reading thus far. Right, well, firstly, it sounds like it's her late grandmother's house. Does she own it, or does the family own it, in which case she's not your landlord? No. There was already damage, which is normal wear and tear. Pinpricks and things, that's normal wear and tear. That generally that's what that would be considered. So it's not even damage. So if it was already there, it's going to have to get fixed anyway, and you're not doing much more than it was already there. So it shouldn't be a problem. Some places you move into, you can't do shit to the walls for those reasons. That's why you see people on TikTok and YouTube Shorts and whatnot showing like landlord-friendly hacks. There's a bunch of stuff stuck on the walls. Your former roommate, that's what the command strips were probably for, and that was meant to be the friendly way of doing things. It's a nightmare. She's I'm trying real hard to tell you not to avoid telling you to move out. I think it's so easy to go nuclear in a situation like this. I think if this isn't normal behavior from her, if it's not the way she's always acted, I'd maybe sit her down and ask her where it's coming from. Where is it coming from? Why is this so important to you? Maybe you'll find there's another reason she's angry, or maybe you'll find there's another way you can come at the problem. If she isn't willing to speak and talk things out in a reasonable manner, especially about the boyfriend coming over every night of the week and having a key, because it's a shared space. It doesn't matter if it's, again, I'm not sure if she owns it or if it's just its family property that she's being allowed to use. That does make a little bit of a difference. But either way, if you're expected to abide by rules, she is also expected to abide by those rules. It can't be one set of rules for you, another set of rules for her. Good luck. And that brings us to the end of today's video. Big thanks to everyone who allowed me to use their stories. If you'd like to support the channel, you can sign up for my Patreon page for as little as $1 a month. I'll certainly take more if you're willing to give it, and that gets you early access to the videos on Monday. There's also my merchandise store on Teespring. That's all linked in the description. And if you want to send me a message, if you want to ask for a shout out, if you would like to send a story in, always appreciated, or you have any business inquiries, then you can contact me at kingofthecities@gmail.com. You think it would be hell freezer, don't you? But that's a secret. I think that's everything for now. Oh, before we go, question of the day. Do you really want to taste that? If you have to hang something up on a wall, do you have a preferred way of doing it? There we go. We'll tag on to the last story there. Do you like thumbtacks? Do you like blue tack, or the whatever else it's called? I'm going with the brand name. You know, the blue stuff is. And do you like command strips? Or recently I discovered Velcro is quite good for that. I had a thing that I was gifted a while back I wasn't able to hang up, and the plate that came with the back of it wouldn't adhere to the wallpaper on my wall. It was meant to stick on a smooth surface and leave no damage, but it wouldn't. My walls are very slightly textured. Turns out, a bit of Velcro sticks fine to the wall. I have spare wallpaper if I need to repair it, which I don't think I'll need to. And it holds this thing up very, very firmly. I'd bought the Velcro to fix my VR headset because the frame for the cushion needed repairing. I was like, well, I've got all this. Do I need anything else? I said, oh, that! I can maybe finally get that up. And it's been holding for weeks. Absolutely fine, I'm happy to say. Let me know what you think in a comment below. We're gradually easing back into the questions, not doing them every video, but we'll get back to normal eventually at some point, unless I'm lucky enough to get another book. And we'll hopefully get back to the answers as well once I have enough to do. So until next time, thank you very much for watching, and take very good care of yourselves. Bye bye.